You snakes betrayed me. Santa Jackson's voice, raw with fury, sliced through the humid savanna air, her pregnant belly a silent witness to the heartbreak unfolding. In the shadowed carriage house of her grandmother's riverside estate, she caught her husband, Caleb Reed, entangled with her adoptive sister Lily Harper, their whispers mocking her trust. The family gathering, alive with blues and laughter, masked a cruel plot. Her husband and sister scheming to steal her legacy. How will Santa turn this dagger of deceit into a beacon of triumph? Will she shatter their lies or rise above? Stay hooked to find out. Subscribe to catch every twist and share in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. What's your guess for Sanaa's next move? Don't miss a moment of her fiery rebirth. Sanaa Jackson's voice still echoed in her mind, that raw cry of, "You snakes betrayed me," now buried beneath the clatter of plates and the soulful wail of a blues guitar. The riverside estate in Savannah buzzed with life, its sprawling lawn dotted with white tables under live oaks dripping with Spanish moss. The air carried the smoky tang of ribs sizzling on the grill, mingling with the sweet bite of Esther's famous peach cobbler. Sana, 6 months pregnant, moved through the crowd, her floral sundress brushing her curves, her smile a practiced shield. The gathering celebrated her soul food restaurant's triumph, named the best in Savannah, but the sting of what she'd glimpsed in the carriage house gnawed at her. Caleb's arms around Lily, their whispered betrayal, felt like a blade twisting in her chest. Yet here, among kin and community, she had to hold it together. "Miss Sanaa, these collards are heaven," called out Miss Ruth, a neighbor whose Sunday dinners had inspired Sanaa's menu. Sanaa flashed a grin, her dark eyes masking the storm inside. "You taught me the secret, Miss Ruth," she replied, her voice warm but strained. She adjusted the tray of cornbread, her hands steady despite the tremor in her heart. The crowd, cousins, local shopkeepers, her restaurant staff, chatted under string lights, their laughter a stark contrast to the betrayal she'd just witnessed. Her grandmother Esther, the matriarch at 70, presided from a wicker chair, her silver braids gleaming, her gaze sharp as she watched Sana. "You holding up, baby?" Esther asked, her voice low, cutting through the noise. Sana nodded, brushing off the concern. "Just tired, Nana. Baby's kicking up a fuss." A half-truth. She felt Zora's gentle nudge, but it was Caleb and Lily's treachery that churned her gut. Across the lawn, Caleb Reed, her husband of 3 years, worked the crowd with his Atlanta-bred charm, his tailored shirt crisp despite the humidity. "Folks, Santa's restaurant is just the start," he said, raising a glass of sweet tea, his blue eyes glinting. "We're building something big." The guests cheered, unaware of the lie beneath his words. Santa's stomach turned, recalling his murmured plot with Lily to sabotage her dream. She caught Lily, her adoptive sister, adjusting a bouquet of magnolias, her blonde hair catching the light. Lily's smile was flawless, but her eyes darted to Caleb, a silent thread connecting them. Sana's fingers tightened on her tray. How long had they played her for a fool? Sebastian Tate, her loyal line cook, weaved through the crowd, balancing a platter of fried okra. His lanky frame and quick grin made him a favorite among the staff, but his furrowed brow now told Sana he'd seen something. "Boss, you good?" he asked, leaning close as he set the platter down. His hazel eyes held a question, and she knew he'd been near the carriage house. "I'm fine, Seb," she lied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just keep the food coming." He hesitated, then nodded, but his glance toward the carriage house confirmed her fears. He'd seen them too, Caleb and Lily, tangled in deceit. Sana's pulse quickened, but she couldn't unravel now, not with Esther watching and the community expecting her strength. The blues band struck up a lively tune, pulling couples to the makeshift dance floor. Kids darted between tables, chasing fireflies, their giggles a fleeting balm to Sanaa's heart. She remembered her childhood here, in Esther's embrace after her parents' car accident. Lily welcomed as a sister despite their differences. They'd shared dreams over sweet potato pie, plotting futures in this very yard. Now Lily's betrayal cut deeper than Caleb's. She'd been family, not just a friend. Sana's hand grazed her belly, Zora's kick grounding her. "We'll get through this, little one," she murmured, her resolve hardening like the cast-iron skillets in her kitchen. Esther beckoned Sana to her side, her calloused hand gripping Sana's. "Something's off, child," she said, her voice a low rumble. "I see it in your eyes." Sana swallowed, the weight of the truth pressing against her ribs. She wanted to spill everything. The photo Sebastian must have, the whispers of sabotage, but the crowd's eyes were on her. "It's nothing, Nana," she said, forcing a smile. "Just the heat." Esther's gaze lingered, unconvinced, but she let it go, patting Sana's hand. "You're stronger than you know," she said. Sana clung to those words, a lifeline in the chaos, threatening to swallow her. Caleb approached, his arm sliding around Sana's waist, a gesture that once felt like love, but now burned like a brand. "You're stealing the show, darling," he said, his voice smooth as bourbon. Sana stiffened, her smile tight. "Just doing my part," she replied, her tone clipped. His hand lingered, possessive, and she fought the urge to shove him away. Lily joined them, her laughter too bright. "Sana, this party's perfect," she said, her green eyes avoiding Sana's. "You're a natural." The lie stung, and Sana's fingers itched to confront them, here now. But she needed proof, a plan, not just for her, but for Zora. Sebastian lingered nearby, his eyes flicking between Caleb and Lily. Sana caught his gaze, a silent question passing between them. He nodded slightly, confirming he'd seen enough to act. Her heart pounded, but the chef in her took over. Methodical, precise. She'd turned this betrayal into something else, something fierce. As the band played on and the crowd raised their glasses, Sana stood at the heart of the celebration, a woman on the edge of a reckoning. What would she do with the truth Sebastian held? How would she wield it? Stay with her story, share where you're reading from, and guess her next move in the comments. Sana's fight is just beginning. The cheers faded into the humid night, but Sana's mind raced, replaying Sebastian's subtle nod like a warning drum. She slipped back into the rhythm of the gathering, plating more cornbread as guests milled about, their conversations a low hum under the blues riff. Caleb had wandered off toward the riverbank, his laughter carried on the breeze, while Lily hovered near the dessert table, her fingers idly tracing the edge of a cobbler dish. Sana watched them both, her chef's eye catching the stolen glances, the way Lily's hand brushed Caleb's arm when no one was looking. It was subtle, but now, with the carriage house scene burned into her memory, it screamed deceit. Sebastian approached again, his apron smudged with sauce, a fresh platter of okra in hand. "Boss, need a break?" he asked, his voice pitched low amid the chatter. Sana shook her head, but her eyes locked on his, searching for confirmation. "What did you see, Seb?" she whispered, her heart pounding as a child chased a firefly past them. He glanced around, ensuring no ears lingered too close. "Them, in the carriage house, whispering about taking what's yours, the restaurant, the estate. I snapped a pic, just in case." His words hit like a splash of hot oil, searing her composure. Sana felt Zora shift inside her, a small protest against the rising tide of anger. "Send it to me," she murmured, her voice steady despite the quake in her chest. Sebastian nodded, pulling out his phone under the table's shadow, his thumbs flying across the screen. As the message pinged on her device, Sana stole a moment behind a cluster of hydrangeas, the estate's ancient oaks whispering overhead. The photo loaded. Caleb and Lily, pressed close, his hand on her waist, her lips near his ear. The betrayal stared back, pixelated but undeniable. Sana's breath caught, memories flooding in. Late nights Caleb claimed were for deals. Lily's reviews that nitpicked her menu while praising rivals. How had she missed it? The sister she'd defended against whispers of not really family. The husband who'd vowed forever under these same stars. Her free hand cradled her belly, drawing strength from Zora's quiet presence. Not now, she told herself, pocketing the phone. The party demanded her poise. Esther's voice cut through her thoughts, calling from her chair. "Sana, come sit a spell." Sana obeyed, weaving past a group of cousins debating the best way to smoke brisket. Her grandmother's eyes, wise and unyielding, fixed on her as she sank into the adjacent seat. "You're distracted, girl. Spill it." Esther's tone brooked no evasion, her hands folding in her lap like a judge awaiting confession. Santa hesitated, the weight of the photo burning in her pocket. "It's the baby, Nana, kicking like a mule." A lie, but one laced with truth. The stress was stirring Zora more than usual. Esther's brow furrowed, her gaze drifting to Caleb, now charming a cluster of local business owners. "That man of yours, he's smiling too wide tonight." Santa followed her line of sight, seeing Caleb clap a shoulder, his laugh booming. Lily stood nearby, her expression a mask of innocence. "And Lily," Esther added softly, "she's got that look, like a cat with cream." Sana's pulse quickened. Her grandmother's intuition was legendary, honed from raising two girls in a world that often turned harsh. Before Sana could respond, Sebastian reappeared, refilling Esther's tea. "Everything all right over here?" he asked, his eyes meeting Sana's with a knowing glint. Esther waved him off with a chuckle. "We're fine, boy. Keep that okra coming. It's the star after Santa's ribs." Sebastian lingered a beat too long, his concern evident. As he walked away, Santa caught the unease in his stride, the way he scanned the crowd for Caleb and Lily. Doubt seeded deeper now, blooming into a thorny resolve. She couldn't let this fester. She needed to confront them, but smartly, like crafting a perfect roux. Slow, deliberate, no scorching. The band shifted to a slower melody, couples swaying on the grass, their shadows long under the lights. Sana rose, excusing herself to check the grill, but her path led toward the carriage house's edge. Caleb and Lily had reconvened there, their heads bent close, whispers lost to the music. Sebastian trailed discreetly, his loyalty a silent anchor. "What now?" he mouthed when she glanced back. Sana signaled for patience, her mind whirling with plans. The photo was ammunition, but she craved their confession, raw and recorded. Zora kicked again, urging her forward. This wasn't just about her. It was for the legacy Esther had built, the restaurant born from family recipes, the child who deserved truth. Esther watched from afar, her expression a mix of worry and pride. Sana felt it, that maternal gaze fueling her steps. The whispers of doubt had become a roar, demanding action. As fireworks cracked in the distance, a surprise from a neighbor, the night promised explosions of its own. Sana steeled herself, the chef ready to carve out justice. What secrets would spill in the shadows? How deep did the plot run? Dive deeper into Sana's saga, subscribe for every heart-pounding turn, and drop in the comments, where are you tuning in from? And what's the time? Predict her bold strike, and hold on for the storm. The fireworks' distant pops faded into the night, but Santa Jackson's heart thundered louder, the image of Caleb and Lily's embrace searing her mind. She moved through the barbecue's lingering crowd, the scent of smoked ribs clinging to the air, her floral sundress catching the breeze as she headed toward the estate's kitchen. Sebastian's text, that damning photo of her husband and adoptive sister, burned in her pocket like a live coal. She needed solitude, a moment to process the treachery before it unraveled her. Zora's soft kick grounded her, a reminder of what was at stake. Not just her heart, but her daughter's future, her restaurant's legacy, the very home Esther had fought to keep. The laughter of guests felt like a mockery now, each smile a mask hiding the truth she'd only begun to grasp. Inside the kitchen, the clatter of pots and the hum of a refrigerator offered a brief sanctuary. Sana leaned against the counter, her fingers gripping a chef's knife, its cool handle steadying her trembling hands. She closed her eyes, memories flashing. Caleb's late-night meetings with vague excuses, Lily's reviews that stung with subtle venom, praising competitors while dismissing Sana's dishes as overhyped. How had she been so blind? 4 years with Caleb, a lifetime with Lily as her chosen sister, and yet they'd woven a web of deceit. Zora stirred again, and Sana whispered, "I'll protect you, baby, no matter what." The resolve in her voice was steel, forged in the heat of betrayal. Sebastian slipped in, his apron askew, concern etched on his face. "Sana, you okay? You look like you're about to carve more than meat." His attempt at levity fell flat, his hazel eyes searching hers. She set the knife down, her breath shallow. That photo, Seb. What else did you hear? He glanced at the door, ensuring privacy, then lowered his voice. They were talking about your restaurant, the estate. Caleb said something about a loan, using Esther's land as collateral. Lily was all in, laughing about how you'd never suspect. Sanaa's stomach churned, the betrayal deepening. Her restaurant, her life's work, wasn't just a target. It was the prize in their scheme. They're planning to steal it all, she murmured, her mind racing. Send me that photo now. I need it. Sebastian nodded, his phone already out. Sent. What's your move, boss? Sana's eyes hardened, the chef's precision taking over. I need their words, not just pictures. A confession I can use. She pulled out her phone, checking that the recording app was ready. Sebastian raised an eyebrow. You're going to confront them? Here? She shook her head, a plan forming. Not in front of everyone. I'll get them alone, make them talk. But I need you to keep watch, Seb. Can you do that? His jaw tightened, loyalty shining through. Got your back, always. He slipped out, leaving her to the quiet hum of the kitchen. Sana stepped to the window, peering at the crowd. Caleb was back among the guests, his charm dialed up as he toasted with a local grocer. Lily lingered near the band, her laughter too bright, her green eyes scanning for him. Sanaa's chest tightened, but she forced herself to breathe, to think like the chef she was, methodical, unflinching. She'd lure them to the carriage house again, under the guise of a private toast, and let their own words damn them. The thought of facing them made her skin crawl, but Zora's next kick was a call to action. This wasn't just about her pain, it was about protecting Esther's legacy, her daughter's future. Esther's voice broke her reverie, the matriarch standing at the kitchen door, her silver braids catching the light. Child, you're hiding in here like a storm's coming. Sana forced a smile, pocketing her phone. Just checking supplies, Nana. Esther's eyes narrowed, seeing through the lie. You can't fool me, Sana. Something's eating you. Is it Caleb or that Lily girl? The mention of their names stung, but Sana held her gaze. I'll handle it, Nana. Trust me. Esther stepped closer, her hand cupping Sana's cheek. I do, but don't carry this alone. The warmth of her touch nearly broke Sana, but she nodded, drawing strength from the woman who'd raised her. Outside, the band shifted to a soulful ballad, the crowd's energy softening. Sana saw her chance. She texted Caleb and Lily, her fingers steady. Meet me at the carriage house. Need to talk privately. Her heart pounded as she sent it, knowing the trap was set. Sebastian caught her eye from across the lawn, giving a subtle nod. He'd be nearby, her silent ally. As she stepped out, the night air felt charged, the distant fireworks a prelude to the explosion she was about to ignite. Caleb and Lily would face her, and she'd have their confession on record. What would they say when cornered? How far did their plot reach? Stay locked in for Sana's next move. Subscribe to follow her fight and tell us in the comments. Where are you reading from? And what's the time? Guess how she'll turn their lies against them. Sana Jackson's pulse roared like a freight train as she crossed the lawn, the blues ballad fading into a distant hum. The carriage house loomed ahead, its weathered wood a stark contrast to the festive glow of the estate's gathering. Her phone, tucked in her sundress pocket, was set to record, a silent weapon against Caleb and Lily's treachery. The text she'd sent them, demanding a private meeting, had been a calculated move, like seasoning a dish just right. Zora's gentle kick urged her forward, a reminder that this wasn't just for her, but for the future she carried. The crowd's laughter felt miles away, and Sebastian's watchful nod from the shadows gave her the final push. She wouldn't crumble tonight. She'd carve truth from their lies. The carriage house door creaked as she stepped inside, the air thick with dust and the faint scent of old leather. Dim light filtered through a cracked window, casting long shadows across stacked crates and forgotten furniture. Caleb arrived first, his polished shoes clicking on the floor, his smile faltering when he saw her expression. Sana, what's this about? He asked, his voice smooth, but edged with unease. Lily followed, her blonde hair catching the faint light, her eyes darting to Caleb before settling on Sana with forced concern. Everything okay, sis? She said. The word sis, a bitter twist in Sana's gut. Sana's fingers brushed her phone, ensuring it captured every word. No, she said, her voice low, a blade wrapped in silk. Nothing's okay. She stepped closer, her pregnant frame commanding the space. I know about you two. The carriage house earlier. I saw you. Caleb's face paled, his charm cracking like thin ice. Saw what? Sana, you're overreacting. Hormones, maybe? His dismissive tone was a spark to her fury, but she held steady, her chef's precision guiding her. Lily laughed, a nervous trill. You're imagining things. We were just talking. Sana's eyes narrowed, pinning them both. Talking? About stealing my restaurant? Using Nana's estate for your loan? Calling my baby a leverage point? The words landed like blows and Caleb flinched, his jaw tightening. Lily's smile vanished, her hands twisting together. Explain, Sana demanded, her voice rising, each syllable a hammer. Caleb tried to recover, stepping forward with palms raised. Darling, it's not what you think. We were brainstorming business ideas, that's all. His lies were flimsy, unraveling under her gaze. Sana pulled out her phone, flashing Sebastian's photo. Their embrace, undeniable. This isn't brainstorming, Caleb. This is betrayal. Lily gasped, her face crumpling, but she rallied, her voice sharp. You're always so perfect, Sana. The star chef, the community's darling. You never saw me what I could do. The venom in her words cut deep, exposing years of buried jealousy. Sana's heart ached. Lily, her sister by choice, had nursed this resentment through every shared memory. Caleb seized the moment, his tone turning desperate. Sana, think of the baby. We can fix this. Keep it quiet. No need to ruin tonight. His mention of Zora ignited her fury. Don't you dare bring my child into this, she snapped, her hand instinctively shielding her belly. You called her a leverage point to scam Nana's land for your restaurant. I heard you. Her voice trembled but held firm, the recording capturing every damning word. Lily's eyes widened, realizing the trap. You're recording? She hissed, lunging forward. Sana stepped back, unflinching. Damn right I am. Keep talking. You're digging your own grave. Caleb's composure shattered, his voice rising. You don't get it, Sana. Your restaurant's a gold mine, but you're too soft to scale it. Lily and I'd make it big, use the estate to secure the funds. You'd still have your little kitchen. His arrogance was a slap, revealing the man she'd never truly known. Sana laughed, a cold, bitter sound. My little kitchen built this family's pride. You're nothing without it. Lily's face twisted, her voice venomous. You're blind, Sana. Always trusting, always giving. We deserve more than your scraps. The confession poured out, raw and unfiltered, sealing their fate on Sana's recording. The door creaked, and Sebastian's silhouette appeared, his presence a quiet reassurance. Everything good, boss? He asked, his tone calm but his stance ready. Sana nodded, her eyes never leaving Caleb and Lily. We're done here, she said, stopping the recording. You'll hear from me soon, just not the way you hoped. She turned, her sundress swirling, leaving them in the dim light, their whispers now silent. Outside, the party's music swelled, oblivious to the storm she'd just weathered. Zora kicked again, a fierce little warrior, and Sana drew strength from her. This was only the beginning. She'd wield their confession like a blade, sharp and precise. Sebastian followed her out, his voice low. You got what you needed? She nodded, her resolve ironclad. More than enough. Stay close, Seb. I'll need you. The night air hit her face, cooling the fire in her veins. The crowd danced on, unaware of the reckoning brewing. Esther's gaze caught hers from across the lawn, a silent question in her eyes. Santa gave a small nod, promising answers soon. How would she break this to her grandmother? What would the community do when the truth spilled? Stay with Sana's saga, subscribe for the next explosive turn, and share in the comments. Where are you reading, and what's the time? Guess her next strike, and brace for the fallout. Sana. Jackson stepped back onto the lawn, the carriage house's shadows clinging to her like smoke. The weight of the recorded confession in her phone felt heavier than the child in her womb, But Zora's steady kicks fueled her resolve. The blues band's soulful croon wove through the crowd, their laughter and chatter a stark contrast to the fury simmering in her chest. Caleb and Lily's words, calling her baby a leverage point, plotting to steal her restaurant and Esther's estate, echoed in her mind, each syllable a fresh wound. But Sanaa wasn't here to bleed. She was here to reclaim. The string lights twinkled above, casting a warm glow over the guests, oblivious to the storm she was about to unleash. She caught Sebastian's eye across the crowd, his quiet nod a tether to her plan. This truth wouldn't be screamed. It would be wielded with precision. She moved toward Esther, who sat like a queen in her wicker throne, her silver braids glinting under the lights. Sania's sundress brushed the grass as she knelt beside her grandmother, the noise of the party fading to a hum. "Nana, I need you," she whispered, her voice steady but urgent. Esther's eyes, sharp as ever, locked onto hers. "What's happened, child?" she asked, her tone low, sensing the gravity. Santa glanced at the crowd, cousins swapping stories, neighbors savoring her cornbread, then back to Esther. "Not here. The study." Esther nodded, rising with a grace that belied her 70 years, and signaled to Naya, the local baker and Sana's confidant, to join them. Sebastian trailed close, his presence a silent shield. In the estate's study, surrounded by shelves of worn books and family photos, Sana played the recording. Caleb's voice spilled out, cold and calculated. "Your restaurant's a gold mine, but you're too soft to scale it." Lily's venom followed. "We deserve more than your scraps." Esther's face hardened, her hands gripping the armrests of a leather chair. Nia gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. "That snake Lily? And Caleb? How could they?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Sana stood tall, her pregnant frame a pillar of strength. "They thought I'd stay blind. They're wrong." Esther's jaw tightened, her voice a low growl. "They dared to use my land? My girl's heart?" She stood, fury radiating. "We end this now!" Santa raised a hand, her chef's calm taking over. "Not in front of everyone, Nana. I won't let their mess ruin your night." She outlined her plan. Share the recording with key community leaders, Miss Ruth, the grocer, Mr. Tate, Pastor Evans, to ensure Caleb and Lily's schemes collapsed quietly but decisively. Esther nodded, her eyes gleaming with pride. "You're playing it smart, Santa, like your mama would have." Nia squeezed her hand. "I'll get the elders. They need to hear this." Sebastian, stationed by the door, added, "I'll keep watch. Make sure those two don't bolt." His loyalty was a lifeline, grounding Sana as she prepared to strike. They slipped back to the party, Sana's smile a practiced mask as she mingled, passing out sweet tea while Nia discreetly gathered the leaders. Caleb was back at his charm offensive, laughing with a group of shopkeepers, his arm brushing Lily's as she hovered nearby. Their ignorance of Sana's knowledge was her advantage. She caught their eyes, her gaze cold, and saw Caleb falter, his smile flickering. Lily's hand tightened on her glass, sensing the shift. Sana turned away, her heart pounding but her resolve unbreakable. In a quiet corner, under the oaks, she played the recording for the elders. Miss Ruth's face fell, her voice a whisper. "That boy played us all." Mr. Tate shook his head. "And Lily, raised with you, Sana. Shameful." Pastor Evans laid a hand on her shoulder. "You've got us, child. They won't touch your legacy." The elders agreed. Caleb and Lily would be ostracized, their reputations in Savannah's tight-knit community torched. No public scene, just a silent, crushing rejection. Sana felt a weight lift, her pain channeled into purpose. She returned to the crowd, her voice ringing out as she raised a glass. "To this family, this community, and the future we're building." The guests cheered, unaware of the undercurrent, but Esther's proud nod told Sana she'd done right. Caleb and Lily, sensing the shift, slipped toward the edge of the lawn, their faces pale. Sebastian intercepted them, his voice low. "Y'all might want to leave. Folks know now." They fled, their silhouettes fading into the night, leaving whispers in their wake. Sana stood with Esther, Nia, and the elders. the music swelling as the party continued. Zora kicked, a fierce little spark, and Sana smiled, her hand on her belly. "We're free, baby," she murmured. The crowd danced. The lights glowed, and Sana felt her strength rise like dough in the oven. What would the elders do next? How would Caleb and Lily face their fall? Stay with Sana's journey, subscribe for the next chapter's fire, and share in the comments. Where are you reading? And what's the time? Guess how Satna's victory will unfold. The elders dispersed into the night, their murmurs of support lingering like the estate's fading lights. Sana Jackson stood with Esther under the oaks, the barbecue's energy winding down as guests trickled away, plates empty and hearts full. The recorded confession, now a shield in her phone, had sealed Caleb and Lily's exile, but the ache in Sana's chest remained, a raw wound from years of trust shattered in moments. Zora's kicks were softer now, as if sensing her mother's exhaustion, but they reminded Sana she wasn't alone. The community's quiet vow to protect her restaurant and Esther's land was a balm, yet healing demanded more than promises. She turned to her grandmother, whose fierce embrace grounded her. "We did it, Nana," Sana whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Esther pulled back, her eyes misty but unyielding. "You did it, child. Now we rebuild." The next hours blurred into a haze of farewells, Sana's smile holding as she hugged neighbors and cousins. Nia stayed close, her baker's hands gentle on Sana's arm. "You're not carrying this alone," Nia said, her voice firm amid the goodbyes. Sebastian helped clear tables, his lanky frame efficient, but he paused often to check on her. "Boss, sit. I got this," he insisted, stacking chairs with quiet determination. Sana nodded, sinking into a seat, her sundress rumpled, her mind replaying Lily's venom. "We deserve more than your scraps." The betrayal from her adoptive sister stung deepest. Memories of shared childhoods in this yard. Whispering dreams over Esther's pie. Now tainted. Caleb's arrogance echoed too. "You're too soft." Soft. She'd built a restaurant from nothing, poured her soul into every dish. No, she wasn't soft. She was resilient, like the collards that thrived in tough soil. Esther joined her, Nia, and Sebastia, forming a protective circle as the last guest departed. The blues band packed up, leaving silence broken only by crickets and the river's murmur. "Tell me everything," Esther said, her tone brooking no delay. Sana exhaled, recounting the carriage house confrontation, the plot to sabotage her business using the estate as collateral. Esther's face darkened, but she listened, her hand on Sana's knee. "That boy never fooled me entirely," she admitted when Sana finished. "And Lily, jealousy's a poison. I took her in after her folks passed, treated her like my own. But blood or not, betrayal cuts family ties." Sana's eyes welled, the weight lifting as she shared. "I thought we were sisters," she murmured. Nia squeezed her shoulder. "You've got real family here. Me, Seb, Nana. We won't let you fall." Sebastian chimed in, his voice steady. "I suspected Lily months back. Her reviews, always picking at your menu, boosting others. I saw her chatting up suppliers, asking questions that didn't add up." He pulled out his phone, showing emails he'd flagged. Subtle digs in Lily's critiques that now screamed sabotage. Sana's jaw tightened. "She was undermining me all along." Esther nodded, her wisdom shining. "Your parents, God rest them, faced worse. Racism in this town, folks doubting a black couple's dreams. But they built this estate, this legacy. You're their echo, Sana. Stronger for the storms." Stories flowed then of her mother's recipe that inspired the restaurant, her father's grit in buying the land. Sana felt connected, Zora stirring as if listening too. The group shifted to the porch, the river's breeze cooling the night. Nia fetched leftover cobbler, her baker's touch adding comfort. "Eat, Sana, for you and the baby." As they shared the sweet treat, conversation turned to the future. "The community's got your back," Sebastian said. "Mr. Tate's already talking about boycotts on any venture Caleb tries. Pastor Evans will spread the word." Quietly but firm. Sana smiled faintly, her hand on her belly. "I won't let this break me. But the restaurant, I need to expand, make it untouchable. Ideas sparked. A community kitchen for Savannah's youth, teaching them her recipes, empowering them as Esther had empowered her. Nia's eyes lit up. I'll help with the baking classes. We'll make it a hub. Esther beamed. That's my girl. Turn poison into purpose. Sebastian nodded, his loyalty unwavering. Count me in. I'll handle the line. Train the kids. The plan took shape under the stars, a vision rising from the ashes of betrayal. Sana felt lighter, the bonds around her weaving a safety net. Caleb's texts buzzed in her pocket, pleas for forgiveness. But she ignored them, focusing on the voices that mattered. Lily's silence was louder, a final cut, but Sana wouldn't dwell. Zora kicked approvingly, and Sana whispered, We'll build something beautiful, baby. As dawn hinted on the horizon, the group lingered, their laughter soft but genuine. Esther stood, pulling Sana into another hug. Rest now. Tomorrow we fight. Sana nodded, her resolve deepened by these ties. The barbecue's remnants, empty platters, faded lights, symbolized an end, but also a beginning. What would the community kitchen become? How would Sana's strength inspire others? Stay immersed in her rise, subscribe for the unfolding triumph, and chime in the comments. Where are you reading, and what's the time? Predict her next bold step, and watch the bonds grow unbreakable. The first rays of dawn brushed the Savannah skyline, casting a golden glow over the estate's lawn, now quiet after the barbecue's chaos. Sana Jackson sat on the porch, her sundress swapped for a loose sweater, her hand resting on her belly where Zora stirred, as if eager for the day's promise. The recorded confession shared with the elders had banished Caleb and Lily, their betrayal now a fading echo. Yet Sana's heart still carried the bruise of their deceit, a reminder of trust shattered. Esther's words from last night, turn poison into purpose, rang clear, fueling a fire to build something untouchable. The community's support, woven through Nia's loyalty and Sebastian's quiet strength, was her foundation. Sanai wasn't just rebuilding her life, she was crafting a legacy for her daughter, one rooted in resilience and rooted in Savannah's soul. Inside the estate, the scent of Esther's morning coffee filled the air as Sanaa joined her grandmother and Nia at the kitchen table. Sebastian arrived, his apron swapped for a casual tee, carrying a sketch pad of ideas for the community kitchen. Morning, boss, he said, his grin softening the fatigue in his eyes. Got some thoughts for that youth program. Sana smiled, her exhaustion tempered by their shared purpose. Let's hear it, Seb. He flipped open the pad, revealing plans for cooking classes, mentorship pairings, and a garden to grow fresh herbs. Kids need skills, but also pride, what he said. Your recipes, your mama's recipes, can give them both. Nia nodded, adding, I'll teach them baking. Biscuits, pies, the works. Make it a family thing. Esther sipped her coffee, her eyes gleaming. This is what keeps us strong, Sana. Giving back. Sana felt Zora kick, a spark of agreement. We'll fund it with the restaurant's profits, she said, her voice firm. No loans, no outsiders. Just us. The betrayal had taught her that control her fate. Esther reached across the table, her calloused hand gripping Sana's. Your parents would be proud. They built this place on faith, not debt. The mention of her parents stirred memories. Her mother's laughter over a simmering pot, her father's stubborn fight for this land. Sana vowed to honor them, not just for Zora, but for every kid who'd walk through her kitchen's doors. By mid-morning, Sana was at her restaurant, a cozy brick building in Savannah's historic district. The staff bustled, prepping for lunch, but paused to hug her, their whispers of support a quiet chorus. Heard what happened, said Tasha, the sous chef. Caleb's a fool. You're our queen. Sana laughed, the sound lighter than she'd expected. Just keep the gumbo perfect, Tosh. She met with her accountant, diverting funds to launch the community kitchen. The numbers were tight, but doable. She'd make it work, like always. Nia arrived with paint swatches for the kitchen space, a donated warehouse nearby. Bright colors, Nia insisted. Make it feel like home. Sana chose a warm yellow, picturing kids laughing over cutting boards, their futures brighter because of her. Sebastian joined them, scouting the warehouse. Needs work, but it's got good bones, he said, eyeing the exposed beams. We can start small, basic classes, then expand. Sana nodded, envisioning rows of stoves, kids learning her mother's cornbread recipe. We'll name it after Mama, she said softly. Lena's Kitchen. The name felt right, a tether to her roots. Back at the restaurant, she sketched a nursery plan for her new apartment nearby, a modest space she'd signed for with savings. Nia helped, suggesting star decals for the ceiling. Zora's gonna love it, Nia said, her eyes soft. Sana smiled, her hand on her belly. She already does. Esther called, her voice crackling over the phone. Lawyers got the estate locked tight. Caleb can't touch it. Sana exhaled, relief flooding her. Caleb's texts had stopped, his silence admitting defeat. Lily's absence was louder. No apology, just rumors of her fleeing town, her critics' pen dulled by shame. Sanaya deleted their numbers, a final cut. The community's whisper network worked fast. Mr. Tate refused Caleb's calls, and Pastor Evans ensured no church would back their schemes. Sanaa's restaurant, meanwhile, buzzed with new bookings, locals rallying to her side. They're eating here to spite him, Sebastian chuckled, flipping a burger. Sanaa grinned. Let 'em. Every plate's a win. As evening fell, Sana stood outside the warehouse, the future Lena's kitchen. The river's breeze carried hope, and Zora's kicks felt like applause. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving, building something bigger than Caleb and Lily's small ambitions. Esther joined her, her presence a rock. You're doing right, child, she said. This kitchen will feed souls, not just mouths. Sana hugged her, tears pricking her eyes. For Mama, for Zora. The stars blinked above, Savannah's heart beat steady. What would Lena's kitchen become? How would Sana's vision shape the city? Stay with her rise. Subscribe for the next chapter's spark, and share in the comments. Where are you reading, and what's the time? Guess how her dream will soar. The warehouse doors swung open to laughter, and the sizzle of pans, Lena's kitchen alive with the energy of Savannah's youth. Sana Jackson stood at the center, her apron stretched over her 8-month belly, directing a group of teens through her mother's cornbread recipe. The space, once empty and echoing, now bursts with color, yellow walls, gleaming counters, and shelves stocked with spices. Profits from her restaurant had transformed it, and the community's donations had sealed the deal. Zora's kicks were stronger now, a rhythmic beat matching the kids' chatter, as if her daughter approved of this haven born from betrayal. Caleb and Lily's shadows had faded, their plot crushed under the weight of Savannah's solidarity. Sana had risen, not in vengeance, but in creation, turning their poison into a feast for the soul. A smaller gathering unfolded that evening in her new apartment, a cozy haven near the historic district. The scent of fresh-baked pie wafted from the oven, Nia's contribution to the intimate celebration. Esther arrived first, her arms laden with a worn cookbook, its pages yellowed and dog-eared. Sebastian followed, carrying a bottle of sparkling cider, his grin wide after a day of teaching knife skills at Lena's kitchen. Those kids nailed the gumbo today, boss, he said, setting the bottle down. Sana laughed, her hand on her belly. Thanks to you, Seb. You're a natural. The apartment glowed with soft lamps, the nursery door ajar, revealing star decals on the ceiling and a crib ready for Zora's arrival. This was her sanctuary, built on her terms, far from the estate's memories. They settled around the table, plates heaped with leftovers from the kitchen's trial runs, collards, ribs, and pie. Esther raised her glass of cider, her voice warm. To Sana, who turned a storm into sunshine, the clink echoed, and Sana felt tears prick her eyes, not from sorrow but gratitude. Couldn't have done it without y'all, she said, her voice thick. Nia squeezed her hand. We're family, Sana. Real family. Sebastian nodded, his hazel eyes earnest. Lena's kitchen is thriving. 10 kids signed up for next week. You built something unbreakable. Sana smiled, recalling the first class. Wide-eyed teens mastering a roux, their pride mirroring her journey from doubt to dominance. Esther slid the cookbook across the table, its cover embossed with faded gold. This was your mama's, she said softly. Recipes she collected, notes in the margins. It's yours now. For Zora. Sana opened it, tracing her mother's handwriting. Add love, always. Memories flooded, childhood kitchens filled with laughter, her parents' dreams woven into every dish. Thank you, Nana, she whispered, clutching the book like a talisman. It connected her to roots deeper than betrayal, a legacy Caleb and Lily could never touch. Zora kicked vigorously, as if sensing the moment's weight. She knows, Sana said, her eyes shining. This is for her. Conversation flowed like the river outside, plans for Lena's kitchen expanding. We'll partner with schools, Naya suggested. Teach nutrition, business basics. Sebastian added, and events, pop-ups at festivals. Show Savannah what these kids can do. Esther chuckled. You're making waves, Sana. Your parents would burst with pride. Sana nodded, her vision clear. A network of empowered youth. Her restaurant as the hub. Zora growing amid it all. The pain of Caleb's arrogance. You're too soft. And Lily's jealousy. Your scraps. Had forged this steel in her. She'd ignored their final pleas. Their silence now a closed chapter. Savannah had chosen her side. Bookings surging. Whispers of support turning to roars. As night deepened, they moved to the balcony. The city's lights twinkling below. The starry sky stretched endlessly, a canvas for dreams. Sanaa leaned on the railing, feeling Zora's movements like a promise. We did it, baby, she murmured. A new horizon, just for us. Esther joined her, her arm around Sana's shoulders. You're a force, child. Betrayal tried to dim you, but you shone brighter. Nia and Sebastian lingered inside, their laughter a comforting backdrop. Sanaa raised her glass once more, toasting silently to the stars. To Zora, dawn and hope. The name fits, a symbol of rebirth from ashes. The gathering wound down, hugs exchanged at the door. Rest up, Sebastian said, his voice gentle. Big day tomorrow. More classes. Nia winked. And pie for the road. Esther lingered last, her embrace fierce. You're my heart, Sana. Keep shining. Alone at last, Sana wandered to the nursery, the cookbook in hand. She sat in the rocker, flipping pages, envisioning Zora's tiny hands one day stirring batter. The betrayal had been a crucible, melting away illusions to reveal her true strength. Caleb and Lily, faded ghosts. Her future, vibrant, alive, surrounded by loved ones who chose her daily. Under Savannah's starry sky, Sanaa felt peace settle. Zora's kicks a final affirmation. She'd transformed pain into power, betrayal into a beacon. What lay ahead was hers to shape, a life of flavor, family, and unyielding hope. Sanaa's story doesn't end here. Her triumph inspires. Subscribe to witness more tales of resilience and share in the comments. Where are you reading and what's the time? Reflect on your horizons. What's your victory from the ashes? Sana Jackson's journey in Savannah, from the sting of betrayal at a family barbecue to the radiant dawn of Lena's kitchen, is a testament to unbreakable spirit. Pregnant with Zora, she faced her husband Caleb and adoptive sister Lily's plot to steal her restaurant and Esther's estate, turning their deceit into a catalyst for empowerment. With Sebastian, Nia, and Esther by her side, Sana built a community kitchen, teaching youth to cook and dream, forging a legacy of love and resilience. Her story, woven with pain and triumph, mirrors the strength in us all to rise from the ashes. What struck you most about Sanaa's fight? Have you faced a betrayal that sparked your rebirth? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're reading from and the time on your clock. Your stories fuel this journey. Thank you for joining Sanaa's saga. Your support lights up her path. Stay subscribed for more tales of courage, and we'll meet again under the next starry sky.